mediator reports?
Um, attached is the report for the last quarter, attachment number 3. A few things I wanted to point out to you is for the last quarter, you had 1,331 mediation reports filed. 66% of the issues within those reports were reported as resolved. As to how many of those were the fees in those were reduced fee or pro bono, 10% of those mediation reports said that there were either the mediation was charged at reduced fee or pro bono. Something resolved. Yes. As to how many of those were the fees in those were reduced fee or pro bono. You hear that feedback? 10%.
Dana, something's going on
Those
with your
mediation
voice.
reports said that there were either. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. What in the world?
That was kind of cool, except for it was kind of scary. I was talking to myself and it was talking back to me. Okay. One thing I wanted. Yeah. So a new stat that we are tracking is the number of pro se participants that were reported. I failed to mention that in the first quarter, but the second quarter we had 298 pro se participants. So if you're ever interested in that, we can probably break that down too by counties or region. And then what are we mediating in the state of Tennessee? Well, it looks like 60% of the cases are personal injury and domestic relations. I will say personal injury is the number one, followed by domestic relations. And your top 3 courts are going to be circuit, chancery, and juvenile, which makes sense when you think about what we're mediating. So that's our stats for the second quarter.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. And I can go right into the AOC staff report.
Perfect.
We officially punched the button to lapse mediators that didn't renew by March 31st, 2024. I officially asked for that to be done on May the 8th. We do have some things where we're working with people and they have been approved to get some things in last minute, or they've had circumstances that were out of their control. So I always have that's how much of a, time period I hold it open, but it still goes back to March 31st. So when we lapsed this year, we dropped to 1,095 mediators. We lost about 300, and we generally make that up back over the year. So, and that was just for last year. So I just wanted to let you know that if you look at your agenda from last quarter to this quarter, that's the reason for the drop. Exciting things happening with the medical debt ODR pilot. I mean, exciting things. We have moved into phase 3. What does that mean? It means we have decided that this is working. The first hospital that joined was Erlanger. The first court was Hamilton County General Sessions with Judge McVeigh. We have Legal Aid of East Tennessee working, and then we have Steve Shields and volunteer mediators. Mark Harwell has joined. We've kept him busy, but we deemed it was a success in phase 2. So it went live. The hospital loaded many cases and resolved many cases, a majority with the help of mediation. And the hospital was able to collect quite a bit of debt that it otherwise could not collect at no cost to the debtor and little to no cost to the hospital. We do have a phase 2 report that we're working on, and we're working to make it look nice at this point. We've got the stats, and as soon as we get the face of the report where we want it to be, it will be published. But everyone on the steering committee believes this is definitely a success. We've invited Metro General Hospital to join. I think I reported that last time. But before we want them to take their time to participate, we are working now with the vendor to add the second hospital to the test platform so that they can test before they go live as well. And that's going to take some extra build out and development on the platform. We've met with the vendor, and that's what we're working on now. We need to know what that's going to cost. But we're really excited. On Friday, I was invited to participate in a podcast presented by Legal Services Corporation. And I spoke with a legal services director from Kansas, and our focus was medical debt and what we were doing. And legal services invited Tennessee because we are the only state with this type of platform addressing this issue regarding medical debt. And so it was, we recorded it. I'm not sure when it'll be on their website, but I'll let everybody know when we hear more about that.
That's wonderful news, Dana. Dana and I have talked extensively about this, and just so you'll know, the one challenge is our platform, and the staff is working with the vendor. The vendor's getting a little wonky, in my words, with us on the platform, and thinking that it needs to. They're thinking we need multiple platforms, and we really only want to buy one platform. So the staff is kind of drilling down hard with them on that to see how that's going to go. But that might be one of the issues that we have to deal with in the future on this program. But so far, everything is great guns. So thanks to all of you who have been involved.
Can I jump in just for a second?
Sure.
Dana, I thought we had resolved that issue with the vendor. We haven't?
We have, and that's
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it's what I think John's referring to is we told them what we want, and now we're waiting for the proposed contract because it's going to be the cost. This pilot is being funded a majority by a grant from the State Justice Institute and some AOC funds. So, and we are, our hopes are that this will cover the development, but if not, then, that's what we need from the contractor, because if we're not going to have the funds, we're going to have to then take the next steps with the AOC, and possibly look for other grants.
When does our contract expire?
We renew it. So technically it's renewed every 6 months. I just got it renewal. So it December 31st, I believe, is when it, and then, but State Justice Institute is very invested in this. They want it to be a success as well. And so when we asked to renew it so that we can continue to use the remaining funds, they've never said no. I send in quarterly reports as well and keep them up to date.
Super. Mark, as a participant in it, how's it going from your perspective?
I think it's an excellent system. I've been very impressed by the, early on we had to get some kinks worked out with the platform, but I think those kinks have been worked out, and it's proceeding marvelously. I'm very impressed and happy to be a part of it.
Okay, super. Thanks for your help. Let's move into our committee reports. I can't see Cindy. Is she here? Dana, if you can give us the communications report in Cindy's absence.
Okay, so the committees published a spring edition for the ADRC newsletter on June the 11th. They have set a published date for the summer edition to be August the 9th. And then we will be publishing just a special edition to get the workshop out. And this is important for me and the Training and Education Committee because we've done something that hadn't been done in a long time with the workshop. We changed the date. So instead of doing it in October around fall break, we've moved it to November 8th. So that was another reason I asked if we could do a special edition, because everybody has in their mind that usual time. And so we want to get it out there that we have changed the time and the location. And of course, it will have everything in there for them if they've not registered before or not familiar with how we do this. All that information will be in there. Okay. And then, and then we sent out a save the date. That's working. I have the ability to go back and pull all the people who attended last year and use their emails and say, hey, save the date, come back again. And that's gone out, and I've already had feedback from it. So that worked well. And we'll continue to do reminders like that along the way.
Okay, super. Just to let you know, in general, the program is progressing. We have a keynote speaker lined up, Susan Gilbert, a national authority on the use of AI in mediation, and she is a dynamo, and she will be our lunch speaker. And we've got some other really interesting topics for our folks, and there'll be more on that later. Sarah, I think, is probably on her flight to Alaska already. They considered, remember when we were at the last meeting, there were 2 items that were remaining. One of the items was approved and one was put on hold. Dana, do you want to comment on that briefly?
Yeah, so if you refer to the application noted on attachment 14A, the committee put them on hold at the last quarterly meeting and asked that they provide more information as to how mediation was the center of their agency, because that's the goal here, is to approve community mediation centers. After the meeting, the applicant sent the information back, and on July 3rd, the committee met and reviewed that information and deemed it enough for them to vote to approve it and put the application on the agenda for today. So we would need a motion and a vote on application noted in attachment 14A, John.
Okay. Based on that, is there a motion to approve that action?
So
Motion
moved.
approved. Second.
Okay, and so I hear a chorus of motions, and I assume one of those is a second. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, and 14B is on hold and will come back to us at a later date after they've presented some information. They're actually doing some local mediations.
Right.
Okay, super. Okay, now let's go to give a high five to the one of our rock stars of the quarter, Betsy Meadows, for her work, her incredible work on the proposed amendment to Rule 31. Betsy, update us on that.
Well, let me first qualify what I'm going to say by the fact that I am lying in my bed right now because I've had COVID for the last 7 days.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
And let me assure you all, I'm not going to go into it, but this is a very, very difficult disease right now.
Really?
So
What's
I'm
going
working at
on?
about, I would say 50% capacity, and Dana has thankfully said she would fill in when I fall off the trail.
Oh, Betsy, I'm so sorry.
oh.
Goodness.
Let me tell you, I felt more like it was flu. You know, the previous COVIDs, I've never had it before. This is my first time.
Oh,
But what I thought was it was a lot of upper respiratory. This has been, for me, just complete flu symptoms, shivering, aching.
for 7 days?
Since last Thursday,
Oh, God.
so almost
Gee.
7, 6. I'm on my 6th. But I'm nowhere close to being back to where I can go to work.
Betsy, if you don't fill up to it, Dana.
No,
Yeah, Dana can
no,
fill in.
I'm good. I have a pretty good memory of what we've been doing, and if I can't, Dana will fill me in. So,
Okay.
well, as you know, we met in June relating to the proposed amendment, and the amendment has been filed, and the Supreme Court posted it for public comment, and that deadline to submit any comments is August 2nd. So we're waiting for that, and I think we've gone over that before quite a bit. I think now it could have just been in my committee, but I believe that we've gone through this in a pretty good detail on how we're going to make these changes, and you know, and what the final version looks like, especially with Dwight's assistance. He gave us quite a bit of assistance on the language, as did Chuck. In any way, if anybody has any questions about that, we can talk about it, but the petition is attached, and I don't have at this point any feedback about any comments we're getting. I did meet with my local ADRC, not ADRC, ADR committee of the Knoxville Bar Association. And they had a few minor questions that I'm sure they're going to submit for comment. But overall, they thought the changes were great.
Yeah.
So if that gives you any indication of, of what the local dispute resolution committees are doing.
That's the same.
Um,
That's also true, Betsy, at the TBA executive committee for the DR section met, and they're going to send in a letter in support. So,
Okay,
Good.
great.
Super. And I've heard positive comments as well, Betsy. So I think, our wait and see plan right now is probably where we need to be. Is
Yeah.
there anything else you need to add to that?
Not to that part, unless anybody wants to address any particular issues relating to the amendment.
Okay. Well, thank you. And so sorry you're sick, and hope you have a speedy recovery.
Well,
mhm.
we also, if you look, we still also have proposed policy changes for the
Mhm.
ADRC policies.
Mhm.
About when you have to, the renewal fee, and when you renew, and how much the fee is. Right now it's $100. After January through March, it'll be $150. And I think I think the reason for that is because it takes Dana and her staff so long to have to go through these applications and make sure that they should be listed or continue to be listed.
Okay, well, super. Well, we can address those issues as as time requires.
Okay.
Okay, again, thank you. Let's move on to our grievance committee, and
Well, we
I've-
do have, we probably will need a vote on a C3, John,
oh,
because it is a proposed change. Yeah,
do
it's
we need to do
attachment
that
number
today,
5.
Dana?
Yes, sir.
Well, I stand corrected. Maybe we do need to do something. So C3, the proposal at C3 that's on the screen now is
Mhm.
presented, dealing
Yeah.
with the fee structure and the timing. Is there any discussion on that before we take a vote?
Yeah,
Is
is that a change from 150 to 200 instead of a,
Mhm.
Oh, that was
but this is Jeff.
Jeff. Okay.
Dollar amount was, I thought Beth said it was a dollar amount change from 100 to 150.
Well, I was misreading. I apologize. The
No.
current policy is that. The proposed policy is it'll go from 100 to 200.
Yeah, so if you are late, it's an extra $50. And it's like, oh, okay, and knowing a few people who are late with their CLEs and renewing their law license,
Mhm.
it's not just $50. So Noel and I talked about this, and we talked with the committee, and an extra 50. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but we do think it's time for an increase due to the amount of work in the last couple of years. So, and now instead of $150, your late fee will be $200. We're adding an extra 50.
Just
So-
to kind of incentivize people to pay on
Maybe.
time.
Maybe.
Okay. We've had some discussion on this. Is there a motion in favor of this policy change provided at attachment 5?
Yes, I'll move to approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, got it. Anything else on that we need, Dana?
Nope.
Okay, let's go to item D, which is grievances. Dana's listed there, but I think I can look at this. We had 2 grievances. Thank you to the panels for addressing them. They have addressed each of the items effectively. The letters are at attachment 8 and attachment 9 respectfully. There's nothing that we need to do. There's just those are just there for your information. And again, high fives to all of the people who reacted and acted on those grievances so quickly. Dana, anything else?
No, but we still have some policy items to address, John.
And I have a question whenever it's appropriate.
Wait, the policy, are you
There's
talking?
4 and 5. So if you go
Oh,
back
I
to
thought you
Betsy's,
said we were done. I'm sorry. I'm just.
I'm
blunt.
sorry.
I thought you
On
were just
3
giving me a break because I'm sick.
Yeah.
No, we do need a motion on attachment 6. We have some new proposed policies. They are on the screen. If there's any, John, if there's any discussion, and then we need to move and vote.
On attachment 6 and 7.
Yes.
Okay, is there any discussion on attachment 6?
I move we approve attachment 6, the proposed new ADRC policies.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, let's focus on the changes at attachment 7. Any discussion on those?
I move to approve.
Okay, Laura is the first one to the line to move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion as approved to accept the changes at attachment 7?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
I,
All
All
opposed?
right.
Okay, now I thought I heard somebody else. Dwight, did you have something you wanted to say in all of this?
No, I didn't. I like the way you run your meetings, John.
Well, I'm sorry. I just thought I kind of ran roughshod over those. Dana is here to keep me under control. So thank you for that,
All
Dana.
right, get me when I'm down.
We
I have
have to be,
I have a
we have
question,
to be
John.
alert.
Okay,
You know, it's
if somebody has a question, I can't.
Chuck.
I do. I have a question of Dana for the grievance committee. My understanding was we were going to not include the names of the grievance committee members in those letters, but the example that's attached still has those names.
I believe it's to yours. When you ask me about that, is attachment 8, Noel, do you have attachment 8?
The one that was sent out that I got a copy of did not have our names in it.
Okay. All right, Chuck, my apologies. That's the first draft I did. But the
Okay.
one that was sent out, my apologies. And this is not published today.
Okay, so the question really is, going forward, will we have a protocol or a template that does not include the names? I thought that was kind of what we were hoping for.
I think that's great discussion. John, what the general template that I had used that had been used in the past had the names of the grievance committee in the letter, as you see. When this letter went out, I apologize, it's not the final that went out. Chuck had asked that the names be removed as the identity of the committee. And I removed those for this letter. And so Chuck is saying at this point, do we just want to have a standing rule or process that we do not include committee names?
Is there currently a policy that says whether the names should or should not be
No.
included?
No, I just used a template that had been on the books and used multiple times in the past.
What's the wisdom of the body on this?
Well, I can tell you what my thoughts are.
Okay, we're listening.
When people make a grievance against a mediator or anybody, their lawyer, whatever, and the way the process goes, they get to make the grievance, and then we get to respond, and then they get to respond, and it goes back and forth. If you give them a reason to complain to anybody else, they will.
Good point.
And then we're in a position of having to respond to the board in a very official manner. And I don't know that would happen, but I can envision it happening.
Is that a concern of anyone else?
Yes.
I can add to this on the second grievance. The grievant, after he received his letter, wanted all of the commission emails and wanted to send something to everybody on the commission. And I told him that, those emails were not public and that he could send anything to me and I would ensure it would get to whomever he'd addressed it to. When I received it, he only addressed it to the chair of the commission. So I sent it to the chair of the commission, which of course is John.
Mhm.
So I will tell you that that also came up with the second one. It was just, I just dealt with it administratively.
Maybe a respectful suggestion here is that we try leaving the names of the grievance committee members off. That's what I think I'm hearing from you all. And let's just try it that way, see how it works. If there's nothing in our rule body that says we need to make this disclosure, let's just leave that name off, and you can state that the grievance was examined carefully by 3 members of the ADRC commission, and just leave it at that. Is everybody good with that?
I would prefer
Yes.
that in this
Yes.
age of social media and crazy. There's no end to it.
There
I
is.
totally agree.
Okay, great. Well, we've Chuck,
So
thank you.
could I interrupt a
Sure.
second just to make sure I understand how this works? Okay, so if there's a grievance, what happens? It's in writing,
Mhm.
and then it goes to a committee, and the committee rules on papers. Is that what
Mhm.
happens?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, the rule
then-
is for this particular part of the rule, it's very detailed. The rule addresses this step by step to the point we had to do a flow chart I always send to the committee because there's so many steps to address a grievance. So yes, it's kind of complex.
It is complex and it takes a considerable amount of time
It does.
for when you're on a grievance committee to go through it and make, a decision about whether this grievance has any merit.
Well, it seems like the concern has been expressed. So long as we're complying with our procedures by not including the names, I don't see any reason to include them. Do you all agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's take those names off the grievances, and maybe Dana, if you could just circulate for everybody's information after the call, the grievance procedure, so that we can all have it and look at it and be more familiar with it.
Dwight,
Thank
do you
you.
still have a question or concern?
Yeah, Mark, but I don't. I guess I'm learning as I've learned how the commission works here. I take it that the grievances, there's no testimony, there's no oral presentation, and then in the past, have the members of the committee been listed or not? When there's a decision.
Mhm. So actually, the rule does allow to have a hearing. So basically, when the committee gets the sworn statement from the complainant, they have to determine if there's, on its face, there's enough on its face to say that this could have happened, whatever the allegation is. Our current one is the mediator was not neutral. So if they determine that, yeah, on its face, there's enough here, yeah, it looks like this could have happened, then they go to the next step, which is they ask the mediator to respond in writing. Once they get the mediator's response, then the complainant is allowed to make a counter response to the mediator's response. And once the committee has all of these responses, then they decide if there's enough to determine on its face that this happened, or if the committee wants to go to a hearing, the rule says the committee can have a hearing.
Okay.
And and then
obviously, if it goes to a hearing, then
yes,
the identities of the committee would be known.
Yes.
If it doesn't, then I would assume that a decision would come out and it would look like maybe a per curiam order of the Supreme Court, which is an order of everyone, but we're not all listed, although everybody knows who we are, right? So,
Right.
So I guess and then how's it communicated, Dana? Is it come from you? The
Yes.
decision comes from you, and you just say, here is the decision of the grievance committee.
Yes. And so our records showed in the past, we've had several grievances. And so there is a letter of just notice of decision. And basically the letter is from me and it says the committee met on this day. And in the past, the committee's identity was noted in the letter. And it says, this is what was reviewed. This is the committee's decision. And here's the disposition. If you have any further questions, you contact me. And then I circulate that to the committee chair before I send it out via email.
Dwight, there are a couple of these letters that Dana writes in this package that it'll give you a good idea. They all look pretty much the same at the end of the day. But they
Okay.
do explain how how it's been considered.
And the concern is that if the committee, the names of the people on the committee who are ruling on the grievance are in the letter or the decision, that would maybe create some shall we say noise, unnecessary noise, and it would not be good for those who chose to serve in a very difficult role to necessarily be identified in the body of the decision. I take it, right? Is that the concern?
Yep.
Yeah, I think
My
it-
thought,
Go ahead, Chuck.
my thought was there's some crazies out there, either the grievant or the mediator who does not like the fact that they did not prevail and they want to take some kind of retaliatory action against people. We are public, we're known, all the commission members are available to the public. And so if they dig hard enough, you can find out who the people are, but I don't want to make it easy for them. If I think simply identifying a commission member was a member that the committee was made up of commission members is sufficient. If for some legal person they needed to dig down and found out who that is, that can happen. But I see no reason to put it out there with all the crazies we have out here.
Yeah, just crowding in on that. I think it's in the BTR standpoint. In the initial reviews, the reviewer who makes those initial decisions is not known to the participants in that process. So I think until it gets to the hearing process, I think even BPR's sort of panel situation remains anonymous too. So I don't think we'd be doing anything different than what they do in their ethics evaluations.
Is that Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
Folks, we've had a lot of discussion on this. Maybe we need to take just to do a quick run through of those grievance committee procedures. And would you all be okay if I appointed a quick subcommittee to kind of go through these procedures and report back at the next meeting? Or do you think that's unnecessary?
I frankly don't think it's necessary, especially in light of what Jeff just disclosed as to how BPR is handling matters. I mean, I think that this change, being consistent with how BPR has handled matters, just seems to make good sense. But John, you're the chair of this, and you lead.
Well, no,
I'm
I
not
don't.
stepping over you.
we've got enough work going on. Why don't, Dana, let me backtrack just a moment. Why don't you submit our grievance committee protocol to everybody so that we can look at it? And if anyone has further concerns, we can address it at our next meeting after we've all eyeballed the protocol. How's that?
Excellent.
In fact, this is Jeff again. I'll chime in because Dana just sent some stuff out for us on an upcoming grievance. So it's got that nice flow sheet that will be helpful to everybody to give a quick overview. And it's very helpful in understanding the process. And my feel on it, and I don't want to speak it with any expertise, but that it has a lot of similarities with BPR's process because we have subpoena power and we have other things that we can invoke if we need to. So once you see the flow sheet, I think it's pretty easy to grasp.
Yeah.
Okay, super. Thank you all. Moving on to our ethics committee, Floyd got off easy. We don't have any pending ethics request. Marcus, take up our training and education committee report.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you to the AOC and to the members of the Training and Education Committee. Everybody that always does a great job, and always appreciate your hard work. The Training and Education Committee met on June 10th, and we discussed two items I will speak to you on my report today. One is the ADRC workshop that's coming up in November, and I'll yield to Ms. Schmidt to give an update to everybody.
Okay, Noelle, do we have the draft that we can show? Noelle is going to bring up the draft agenda so that you can see. Many of you are, as you know, participating and presenting. So here's a copy of the draft agenda. It looks it looks very familiar, but this is going to be virtual and in person. It will be in person at Belmont. Noelle has asked if you are going to need a room. The ADRC's budget will provide a room. We've got the hotel as usual, same hotels last year. If you will, she'll be asking you very soon if you plan on attending and you need a room for the night. Also, we will be the night before providing the ADRC will have what we call a commission dinner. We're going to do it at a local restaurant this year for budget purposes. Catering went through the roof compared to the year before. So we decided to pick a local restaurant in Nashville. It's called Germantown Cafe. It's great. It's been there for years, easy to get to. So we're going to do that for you guys. And then we will be at Belmont the next morning. Belmont, if you've not been to the College of Law, it's great. All the parking is underneath. You park underneath. They're going to reserve parking for us. You ride the elevator up to the lobby. We've got our rooms reserved, and there you go. And we'll have a continental breakfast, and we'll have a box lunch. We do box lunch so that we can do the CLE, or we can continue the the training during lunch, so we can get everybody out timely. And Justice Tarwater, we have you opening the session from 8:30 to 9:30, and I think John has some ideas for that.
So is this November the 8th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All righty. That's what I've got. I was just making sure.
Yep.
And
I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure you were back from your honeymoon.
Pardon me?
I said I wanted to make sure you were back from your honeymoon and had plenty of time to recover.
Well, I didn't realize you were going to have me speak for an hour, so I'm going to have to use my honeymoon time to prepare these remarks.
Wonderful. Hallelujah. I'm sure they'll be inspiring.
Well, I hope so. Maybe the mediation aspect to it, but maybe it'll help me. Who knows?
And then we've got ethics early in the morning. This will also be dual, so you can get your CLE and your CME. And then I was charged with your ODR. We're going to present that. I'm pretty sure Judge McVeigh can make it. He was the catalyst to all this, and I need him to tell how this all started because it was all him. But we're going to have the hospital there and Kathy Allshouse from Legal Aid. And then we'll do a pro bono recognition lunch. And John, that's usually done with the chair and then the chair of that committee, which is Sarah. And then John is confirms Susan Guthrie, well-known mediation expert, is going to speak to us. She is at another training, but she wants to present, so she's going to do it by Zoom. But it's interesting because she wants to do mediation and artificial intelligence, which I think is pretty cool to do that, you know, by Zoom. So, and then you see our breakout sessions. We've got those set. For family law, Marcus is bringing in, Becky Jacobs, she's a professor at UT. She actually reached out to Marcus and asked to present this topic, and we love that. Anybody that makes it easier for us, that's great. But anyway, she'll be presenting at the breakout session, and then we have our second breakout sessions, as you can see there. I think this is great. Especially that they've picked dealing with difficult people and the issues they bring. The mediators, I get lots of calls on things like this. It's that day-to-day, the kind of the social work part of being a mediator. And you've got a lot of new mediators and they're calling me. So I think these are great topics for the afternoon. And then we finish with John Tarpley presenting high stakes consensus building.
Hold on.
Yes.
That's my idea as high stakes building, but I do not want to be the speaker in multiple places on the program. We are working on finding us some high stakes consensus building speakers. So if you know someone who would fit that topic, send it to us ASAP. Okay.
Gotcha.
Wonderful program. Any comments on that, folks?
Looks good.
Marcus,
All right.
do the rest of your topics.
Oh, yeah. And thank you, Ms. Schmidt. And then the second part of my report is going over the 3 training waiver requests that the committee went over. The first training waiver is applicant 164814, which is attachment 10 for all the committee members who are following through. Applicant is applying for a civil listing. The applicant is seeking a waiver of Rule 31 training requirements for the listing. The applicant is a listed mediator in the state of Florida, in good standing at the time of the application, and has no disciplinary history. We love all that. So the committee recommends approval of this waiver for applicant 164814. And are there any questions before there's a motion to approve this app?
Marcus, why don't you just take a joint motion on all 3 of these after you go through them? Okay,
very cool.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Let's move to the second applicant, applicant 162661, which is attachment number 11. The applicant is applying for a civil listing. The applicant is seeking a waiver of Rule 31 training requirements. Applicant is a trained mediator. The training was taken from a non-approved trainer. The committee finds the training was substantially equivalent of that as required under Rule 31 and was completed within 6 years prior to the application date. So the committee, after reviewing all that information, the committee recommends approval of this applicant, 162661. And then finally, the last applicant training waiver is applicant 164972, which is attachment number 12. Applicant is applying for a family listing with a domestic violence designation. The applicant is seeking a waiver of Rule 31 training requirements. Applicant is a trained mediator. Applicant failed to renew their 2024 listing due to technical issues with the mediation portal and her email update. Applicant previously took the subsection 14 training in 2001. Based on that information, the committee finds good cause to waive the training requirement in this case. So the committee recommends approval of this waiver of 164972. Are there any questions before I go into a motion for all three?
Okay, is there a motion that we approve these three waivers? Marcus, I'll assume that you're moving that.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we have agreement. Thank you for all of your work on that, Marcus. Let's go to
Anytime.
the Credentials Committee. Lowry Reed.
Good morning, everyone.
Lori, I'm sorry. I got one thing I overlooked. We have received a letter from a lawyer in East Tennessee. It was sent to Justice Kirby on May 6th. She lateraled it to Justice Tarwater and he lateraled it to us. And we are the training, it deals with training and education issues. And that committee is going to look at that letter and make whatever recommendations they feel need to be made on that letter before our next meeting. So I just wanted to let you know that we had received that and we are, we've got a process to deal with it. So just an informational item for you there. Lori, it's all you.
Thank you. We met on April 17th and reviewed the new applications. The first one to consider is a reconsideration for someone whose listing had lapsed. And this is, the mediator did not review by the deadline and they requested a reconsideration. We reviewed everything and we are recommending approval of the waiver training for 164972. I think I can do a lot of these together, but this one is separate. So I think we probably need to have a motion to approve that particular lapsed listing reconsideration. Is there a motion for that?
So move.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of approving applicant 164972 to reconsider the training, the lapsed requirement, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is that we had 53 applicants that were recommended for approval without dispute. And those are on the attachment 13. I move that we approve those 53 recommended applications that had no problems with them.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you. We had 2 applications with training waiver requests, and you all just voted on approving those training waiver requests. So with regard to applicant number 164814 and 164789, we are requesting recommending approval of those 2 since their training waivers have been approved. I move that we approve those 2 applicants.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Lori.
Okay, so the hardest ones that we have are the ones with disciplinary history. We go through those thoroughly and we ask, Dana does a great job of asking for follow-up. And today, with all of the next ones that had, the next 4 applicants that had disciplinary issues, the applicants followed up, gave us information that we needed, and we determined that they are all suitable for the practice of mediation. So I move that applicant 164945, 162073, 164929, and 164935 be approved for that their applications be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it carries. Lori, thank you for a great report and thank you for all of your faithful work in this area through
Thank
the
you,
years,
Michael.
really.
It's
Okay,
ridiculous.
we're cruising toward the end. Justice Tarwater, I didn't ask you if you had any comments you wanted to make. Is there anything you want to add or any concerns you have for
No,
us?
I just want to say thank you to all of you when you attend these. You realize so it's
Dwight, there's
nervous,
something wrong.
and I know it
Dwight,
takes time.
back up for just a second. Your connection broke up.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Sure,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. I've been having, I'm at home, and so I sometimes have trouble with internet access out here in the boonies. I just want to say thank you to everyone for their service. When you attend these meetings, you hear the amount of work that actually has to be done outside this group, and the applications that need to be reviewed, the disciplinary matters, the ethics issues. It's just a lot of work, and we really appreciate it. Y'all do a fantastic job, and probably don't get enough thank yous. So you can get one from the court right now.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Dwight. We
Thank you.
appreciate you. Our next Rule 31 application deadline is September 2. Our next quarterly meeting is October 15. And Dana is yanking my chain before we leave that she would like to get dates for the committee meetings before we sign off.
Mhm.
Dana, why don't you take it away?
Okay, I need, if we could just go ahead and confirm the 2 standing meetings for training and education and then credentials. I was going to propose, because of when the meeting falls, possibly the September 23rd for training and education. Marcus, Linda, Chuck, Jeff, are you guys available on that day?
Yes.
That's for training and education.
Yes.
Yes, I'm available for that date.
All right. How does I always think 1 o'clock Central Time, which Marcus, that would put you and Jeff at 2.
2 o'clock. Yeah, that's fine by me.
Wonderful. Okay, let me write that down. 9:23, 1 p.m. CST. And then Lori, Betsy, Chuck, and Mark. Are you available on September the 25th at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time?
Yes.
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 Okay. And then for the other committees, you're going to have some business, and Noel and I will work with you to set those. But I have to look over and see, the business and exactly what it is I need you guys to work on. But we'll get with you on those. And that's it, John.
Okay, thank you. Everybody, I appreciate all of your hard work. Let's just keep it rolling, and we'll have more interesting information for you at the next meeting. Have a great rest of the summer. And I guess, we're going to
adjourn.
I'm sorry.
I move to adjourn.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do it. I'm not even
Not
going to.
rushing anybody.
I'm not even going to. take
She's
a
pushing you out the
second on
door,
that. We're
John.
just going to do it. We are adjourned.
Before we adjourn, can we do one thing?
Yes.
Dana, while you got us here, do you want to go ahead and get a meeting date set for our grievance packet that
Oh,
we're
yes.
today?
Thank you, Mark. Yes. So I need Mark to stay on. If people have things to do, Mark, Betsy, and Jeff.
Okay.
I'll stay on.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Betsy, get
Bye.
better.
Get
Well,
better.
Get better.
Get better, Betsy.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Stay
Working on
safe.
it.
Bye.
Okay, quick. I'm about to lose.
Okay. Well, you've got the grievance. So
I haven't looked at it yet, but I will.
it's pretty straightforward. She has a lot of detail. So what you're going to do, of course, as the first step is to determine if you believe it could be true as the way it's written. That's
Right.
it. So I'm thinking no more than 30 minutes.
Okay.
Do you want
What's
to
our time frame to respond? Excuse me.
timely? Yeah, I didn't draft this part of the rule because there would have been time frames. Timely, reasonable.
When was,
timeliness.
what's the date on this?
We got it, I think. Let me see.
Seems like I've had it a week or so.
Yeah, I just sent it out. I
Okay.
mean, I was thinking, do you want to do 1st of August?
Okay,
First week of August?
I'm in trial that week.
Okay. The first full week?
Yeah.
What about the
Hang on,
last?
let me double check and make sure that I'm not misspeaking.
Okay. We've got August 1st and 2nd. That's a Thursday and Friday. I don't really like to do meetings on Friday. I'm old. Sorry.
not all of that. I'm on my way to
Okay,
Cincinnati.
I
on
can't
Thursday.
do the 1st and the 2nd. It looks like the week of the 5th, I've got some availability.
Okay,
All right.
name it. Mark.
What's your
Wait.
availability?
Oh, I tell you what, why don't we just do August 5th at 1 Central?
Okay, I can't do the 5th. I'm sorry. I thought you said the 6th.
How about the 6th at 1 Central?
I've got it. At 1 Central, that works.
Jeff,
For
you
me.
good?
Yeah, on the 6th of 1 Central, yeah, that should be good.
All right. I'll send out the Zooms and work up some an agenda type thing and send it out to everybody.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks a ton.
Okay,
Appreciate
Bye,
you
Feel
everyone.
guys.
better,
Feel better, Betsy.
Betsy.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, real soon.
Bye.
Bye.